I've got a question for you, Ollie. Which players out of the following would you let go on loan? Because we're obviously trying to make room for new signings and things like that.
Mhm.
Lots of people speculating what would happen to certain players. Some of these are youngsters, so they don't count in the quota of how many
Yeah.
players you're allowed to register. But let's just go through them one by one. So first of all, John Fleck is the one that everybody's talking about because he's not getting games of football. Do you see John Fleck going out on loan this January?
No. I mean, I don't. I suppose he could. I don't personally see what the benefit to John Fleck or United would be of him going out on loan. I think if he's going to leave, we might as well just let him go permanently. I think probably in hindsight, all parties would suggest that the new contract last summer, the sort of extension. I think most people would now agree that was a mistake, and actually, it might have been best if we did part ways last summer. But for me, the only reason he'd be going out on a loan would be to then join that club in the summer, I would hope. So maybe there
That
is
happens a
value in
lot
it.
though.
Yeah, it does. And there might be clubs in the Championship or whatever level he might be going to that are interested in that. I would let him go. I'd prefer a permanent transfer, but if it needs to be a loan, then I think that's fair. I think he's doing enough for the club that as well, if he finds a move that he really wants to make, we shouldn't stand in his way and should 100% support him in that as well.
Completely agree. He is a bit of a club legend, you've got to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up, we've got Ben Osborn. A Ben coming in, a Ben going out?
No, Osborne to stay for me. I think at a time, Osborne has his detractors, Osborne has his faults and has his issues. Next season, at the top end of the Championship, I wouldn't really want him to stick around at the club. I think we've probably found a natural breaking point. I would keep him for now for this season because A, he's versatile and we get so many injuries that having somebody who can play in 2, 3, 4 positions is always worth having at the club. I think as well this season, one of the things that United have lacked more than anything else is energy. We've really struggled in so many games through the first half of the season for energy, for people running about, for putting everything in. And whatever happens, Osborne always puts absolutely everything he's got into every game of football. And sometimes that rubs off on others. So I'd keep him in and around the squad, and I would have him on the bench to try and give us some energy late in games if we need it.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Daniel Jebbison.
Wilder seemed to suggest that he will be in and around the squad. Wilder has talked about Jebbison, obviously, to the Star, and he suggested that we've not seen the end of him in the United shirt. He's met with Jebbison, he's met with his family, and they are having conversations about him returning to sort of the first team at United. I think there is a place for him in our current squad, to be honest. It depends on what the rest of the striker situation looks like. Obviously, at the minute, we've got Archer, McBurney, Brereton, Diaz, Osula, and Jebbison. Either Osula or Jebbison probably should go out on loan. I think if Jebbison's signing a new contract, then maybe it should be him just to get him back to fitness, just to get him a bit more time in around the squad. If he's not signing a new contract, I'd rather sell and get whatever money we can for him now because I don't think a talent like him will still attract a fee rather than letting him go for free.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. Next one is someone that you've just mentioned, Will Osula.
Yeah, and like I say, I think those two are intertwined, and it depends what the situation is with Jebbison's contract. But I don't think there's a space for both of them in the squad. I think one of them should go out on loan. I'd love to see Osula go out on loan and get a proper loan in because he's so close to being a really good player. And I think the question is obviously after his goals, his 2 goals against Gillingham, does that kick him on? And does that mean that next time he's now going to have some momentum, some confidence, and he might actually be able to score some goals? I think he creates chances. He's big, he's physical. He's the one who I think has got a bigger future. I think he's got a bigger future in the game than Jebbison. So I would ideally like to see him on loan, but I don't think we've got space in the squad at the moment, depending on what happens with Jebbison.
Fair, good point. My next one is a goalkeeper, and it's 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗔. And I'm going to jump in there firstly, because if we bring in another goalkeeper, that means new goalkeeper 1, I would expect. Where's number 2?
Yep.
Adam Davis, you would probably say number 3. 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗔 number 4. However, if 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝗔 doesn't count in the overall numbers, maybe Adam Davis goes out on loan.
Mm.
And there will be a team out there, a Championship team, League One team, that will take somebody like Adam Davis, who is a steady pair of hands at that level. So maybe that's what happens. What do you think?
You've won me round. I was all for sending 𝗍𝗻𝗂 out on loan. I was going to say, yeah, 100%, 𝗍𝗻𝗂 out on loan. Let's get him some game time. Let's get him developed. But actually, if we're all about freeing up space in the squad and 𝗍𝗻𝗂 potentially isn't one who's going to be counted in that, then he should stick around and Davies be the one who does go out. I do think there's an argument to be made that 𝗍𝗻𝗂 should be ahead of Davies in the pecking order anyway, in all honesty, because obviously he's a big lad. We've not seen much of him, but I do think that guiding his potential as potentially a number 3 goalkeeper would be really valuable, whereas I don't think there's much value to be got in having Adam Davies around as a third choice keeper.
You're wrong, though. He's not a big goalkeeper. He's a big goalkeeper.
Yeah,
That
it's
man
huge.
is he's one of the biggest guys I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, let's move on to 𝗍𝗻𝗂 𝗶𝗍𝗃. Did you see enough in him to warrant him staying around?
No, not for me. I think alone again suits him. If you're third choice, I always think in terms of squad planning, you want to have 2 players for every position. Obviously, some positions you're going to need 3 players, 4 players, just to make sure you've got enough cover. But I don't think right wing back for United is one of those positions. I think with Bogle and Baldock, we're more than enough in terms of being covered there. In a pinch, you've got somebody like Osborn who has been known to go out and play at right wing back. We'd not want to use that. But I think he's as good an option as 𝗍𝗃, and it would better suit 𝗍𝗃's development to actually be playing professional men's football. So I would give him a loan.
Fair enough, fair enough. And everybody out there, let us know if you call him 𝗍𝗃 or 𝗍𝗃 or whatever Ollie's just said.
I think I said 𝗍𝗃, yeah. I was
Let us
thinking like
know.
𝗍𝗃 Dembele, I think. I think that's where I'm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Next up, we've got Ismaila Coulibaly. Is he ever going to see a football pitch in a red and white shirt ever again?
No, I think he's going out on loan. It sounds like he's going to AIK, is it, in Sweden? I do think that would be a good move for him. I think he needs to go somewhere to reignite his career because obviously since joining United, he's never really had that opportunity to play for us. He had obviously work permit issues originally, which saw him go to, I think it was 𝗍𝗿 for 12 months. I'm not going to lie, I thought he was the second coming. I heard everything about him from 𝗍𝗿 that he was going to be insane. AC Milan were making £10 million bids. We were doing everything we could. We got a right gem on our hands. But that's not the player we've ever seen at Bramall Lane, unfortunately. And so I think for his career, but also for United, it's probably best now that we look to move him on. I don't think that's a move that's really going to work long term. So, yeah, I'd be happy to see him go out and maybe get some game time, get some energy, and get some momentum and confidence back.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a move that makes him come back into the Sheffield United team because it's a completely different league. And I think that if you're going to send out a player like that, you'd send him out to a championship club so that you can kind of get that physicality. I don't know. But
Similar to Benny, isn't it? Like where
yeah,
Benny's gone out, and I don't see Benny ever coming back now. I think that's
no.
a permanent transfer just waiting to happen, that Benny's going to leave the club. I think it probably will be the same for Izzy as well.
Final 2, we've got 2 young strikers in Antoine Hackford and Ryan Oney. So Hackford, first of
Ooh.
all, like I thought that Hackford
Yeah,
was a forgotten man, to be honest. Nobody spoke about him. He obviously had a pretty bad injury. I can't remember exactly
horrible
what the
injury,
injury
didn't he?
was. But he came back and banged loads of goals and he seemed like the forgotten man, but he's back.
Yeah, he is. I think again he's another one who he needs to experience professional football. Like these players are great, and it's fantastic to see how well he's been doing in the youth ranks, how many goals he's been scoring. Obviously, we've had glimpses of him coming off the bench for the first team. I think he's done that twice now, but ultimately what we need from him and what he needs from us is the opportunity to play professional men's football. He doesn't want to be playing against other people who are 17, 18, 19, who aren't fully developed yet. He needs to grow his strength by playing professionally. And so I think a loan for him would be great. I think League Two, if he could find a club down there, I think that would be really, really positive. And I think that would be a good level for him as well to really test himself. I think it'd help him grow into the footballer that I think we all hope he can be.
Yeah, too right, because it's since that Crystal Palace away game where Wilder brought him on. Wilder wasn't exactly synonymous with bringing youngsters on. He likes his old heads, he likes his experienced players, but he brought him on, and we all got a little bit excited that we thought that this was going to be
Yeah.
a really, really exciting player coming through. But obviously, it hasn't worked out for him as well as what he would have liked to have. Ryan Oney next. Obviously, we've not seen too much of him, as in like with our real eyes. But we've seen him on the score sheet quite a lot. Obviously, scored a hat trick the other day as well. He looks like a beast. He came on against
Yeah.
Arsenal, and I was like, "Wow, this guy is a beast." He looks it. He's similar in stature to 𝗍𝗂𝗶𝗲 a little bit, where he's like just bigger than anybody else that we've got. It seems so.
Yeah.
One that I'm really excited for. What about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about his future. I think that's the thing that makes him stand out for me. I remember when Jebbison first came through for United, obviously he had a fantastic debut, scored his goal. But the thing that I always noted about the first sort of 12 months of Jebbison at United was his need for more physical strength, his need for physical development. Whereas One looks the part. Like, he looks like he is so much more developed than people at his age should be, that gives him a real leg up in terms of where he can go in the standings. I think in terms of being able to play professional football, One is much better equipped to that than Hackford, for example, at the moment because of his physical stature. But alone, I think, would do him a lot of good again. I don't think at this stage, I don't know what he's going to benefit from continuing to play under 18s, under 21s football. I think, again, he needs to get out there. He needs to actually experience playing the game at adult level. And I think alone would be the right time for him this summer.
Yeah,
Or
I
this January.
completely. Yeah, completely agree. I think I'd love to see that. Even just coming off the bench in League One or
Yeah.
League Two or something like that, just giving him a few more minutes because he's not going to get the minutes for us, especially with us bringing Brereton Diaz in there and maybe Jebbo coming back in. So he's not going to get any game time for United. I think we expected maybe he might get on the bench a few more times, but that's only going to happen if we've got loads and loads of injuries. And obviously, if we've
We've
sent him out on
also,
loan, we'll probably bring
we
him back if we do have loads of injuries.
Yeah, and I talked about strikers earlier, and I listed them all off, and obviously forgot Brewster. That's another one that's going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. So it's actually Brereton Diaz, McBurney, Archer, Jebbison, Osula, Brewster. We don't need six. That's definitely true. I have to admit, I'd be tempted by a loan for Brewster. I don't know if he's on your list or not.
He's not on my list. He nearly went on my list, but I just thought with us bringing him on in the last
Mm,
game, and I think Brewster will get game time. I think he's one of them that is a bit of an interesting one because like you could bring him on and he showed against Man United. He came on, he hit an absolutely
oh,
fantastic shot that just bent in all different directions. He's just one of those players that's a bit of a wild card where you could bring him on and he could just do something. So I don't see him going out on loan. I think if we were going to see him go out on loan, it would have been probably maybe. I'm trying to think when was the last time he came back from injury before this one because
mm,
I felt like he needed to go out on loan before, score a load of goals, and come back to us.
yeah, that's
But
what he needs.
we just don't have a load of incredible strikers. We've got a load of strikers, but like I just don't feel like we can let him out.
No, I see exactly where you're coming from. I think for me, it's that first point. It's we need to build his confidence and his fitness, and maybe with a bit of less pressure, less expectation, less people in the crowd going, "We paid 20 million quid for this." Let's
Yeah.
just give him the opportunity to develop and get his confidence back somewhere else because I do think it'd really suit him, and he's one that I think of all the players in our squad, I don't think anybody would benefit from a loan more than him.
I think you're
Whether or
right.
not it suits United is a different question. But as
Yeah.
an individual and as him as a footballer, he needs it more than anybody else.